My name is Tom McDonough. I am the training chief of the St. Paul Fire Department, and it is my pleasure to open up the proceedings for the graduation of the 11 Recruit Academy graduates. It's my privilege to introduce the mayor of this great city of St. Paul, the Honorable Chris Coleman.
Good afternoon, everyone. To family members of the recruits, to the recruits, to members of our department, and to members of our community that are so supportive of our department, I want to welcome all of you to the city of St. Paul and to the St. Paul Fire Department. You know, this is a occasion when we get together to celebrate on your behalf, because you're all probably too tired to celebrate after the training that you've just gone through. Hopefully you'll have a little time to recover. Hopefully you'll have a little time to reflect back on these last many weeks and the incredibly difficult task or training that you've just gone through. We do the kind of training that we do for a reason, because we're going to ask a lot of you. We're going to ask that you perform incredible feats of strength, of endurance, of tolerance. There are so many things and so many challenges that you'll face ahead of you that the challenges of this academy, the challenges of your training will seem minor in comparison. Almost every time I get to speak to a recruit class, there's something fresh on my mind that reminds me of how incredibly important the work that you do is. Most recently, we had a tragic situation just upriver from where we sit here today, where there was a landslide where two young children from the city of St. Louis Park on a field trip were buried under tons and tons of dirt and gravel and debris that had fallen off the top of a cliff. Unfortunately, we weren't able to save the lives of those two young boys. But I was so impressed by the incredible work of our emergency responders that day and in the days that followed, in their effort to try to first recover, to bring back survivors. But then when they realized that that wasn't possible, continuing to do their work so that the families of those two young boys could have closure. Our first responders risked their lives, plain and simple. They went down into a situation where they were uncertain how unstable the land was. They were, as a matter of fact, we had several injuries of our first responders when the land continued to slide down upon them, but they never wavered. They never stopped trying, and they never, ever gave up in their mission to bring back those boys to their families. That's the kind of job that you're about to embark on. You're willing to risk your lives for others. You're here for service. You're here to protect the residents of the city of St. Paul and all who come into our community on a daily basis. Why you do that, you know in your hearts. Is it a calling? Is it a sense of mission? Is there a family history to it? Are you just the kind of person that likes a challenge? I think all of these things come into play. But you are embarking on a career of service. And it's not just what happens in the firehouse and while you're on duty. I suspect, like many of the members of the fire department in the city of St. Paul, service is a part of your daily life. Just recently, we had an opportunity to present the Carl Knight Award to a fire captain in our department who had been on the job for 30 years. And he was recognized not for the incredible work that he did as a captain in our department, although he certainly was among the best, but he was also recognized for the fact that he was a coach, he was a mentor, he was a tutor. When he had an opportunity, he went into our schools and read to children. He was a father, he was a husband. He was the best reflection of our community. And that's what I wish for all of you. I wish that you do your jobs well. I wish that you be safe in them. On a daily basis, I think of you and I want the best for you. But remember, that call to service, that call to duty extends beyond when you're in uniform. It extends to every aspect of your life. You know, there was a book many years ago that was published that said, think about at your funeral. I know we don't like to think that far out, but what would you like people to say about you at your funeral? Think of what a family member would say. Think of what a friend would say. Think of what a colleague would say. The gist of it was basically that you would want all three of those people to have positive stories to tell about you. You certainly wouldn't want a coworker to come up and say he was so completely dedicated to his job, we just thought he was great, but have a family member or a friend say we didn't know them, or we didn't have any time with them, or they never had any time for us. This is a job that's really hard to balance all the aspects of your life in. When you're in a station for 24 hours at a time, when you're away from your family and your friends for many hours, those are challenging times. Do the best you can to balance those things. Be of service to your community, to your family, at all times. Remember, you are a reflection of our community in everything that you do. I'll close with this story because I think it's an example of why the calling that you have, the job that you're about to embark on, is a different job than many of us have on a daily basis. Shortly after I was elected mayor, I was given just a pullover from the fire department. And I put it on one day because it was kind of raining, didn't think much about it, went up to the grocery store. And as I walked into the grocery store, someone who I'd never seen before looked at me and said, "Hi, how are you? Have a great day." And then I walked a little bit further into one of the aisles, and a couple people came up to me and shook my hand and said, "Hi, how are you? How's it going?" The clerks were particularly nice to me. The carryout boy had a smile on his face. And it wasn't until I got back to my car that what they saw was the label of the St. Paul Fire Department on my chest. Now, I didn't have the heart to tell them I wasn't a firefighter. Quite frankly, I kind of liked the attention. Because usually as a mayor, if they recognize you, they don't say, "Hi, how are you?" They have a lot of other things to say, but that's not usually one of them. But it made me realize how people feel about the members of the fire department in this community, about how incredibly respected you are. You've earned that respect by going through the academy and becoming a member of the department. You'll retain that respect by what you do on a daily basis, on the job and off the job. Do us proud. Welcome to the city of St. Paul. Have a good, long, and safe career ahead of you. Congratulations.
Normally, Fire Chief Tim Butler would be here and EMS Chief Matt Simpson, but they're overseas on a special assignment. The acting Fire Chief is Assistant Chief Jim Smith. I'd like to now invite Chief Jim Smith to the podium.
Well, welcome everybody. It's awfully quiet. Recruits, breathe, breathe. This is a great day. This is a fun day. This is the day that I'm just really glad of, because I see 11 recruits sitting here, and 14 weeks ago when Chief McDonough asked if Training Officer Roy Makosa could be your PT guy, I got very nervous. His battle cry is "Hoo-yah," and I'm sure on your first day of Recruit Academy is "Who, me?" You know, I'm supposed to do that. I'm glad you guys all made it through, so that's great. Today you're going to receive our fire department's badge, and whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, you are now becoming a role model. And when you represent this great city, both on and off duty, you have to remember you are a role model. Your actions will reflect directly back onto this department and this city, and you will be looked upon by children and citizens, and they're going to be asking you to assist in any way you can. Do it. And as a public servant, you will find yourself assisting people in ways other than putting out fires and bandaging wounds. The attitude and demeanor you need to possess is so important that retired Fire Chief Alan Brunacini from the Phoenix Fire Department wrote a complete book on it. It's called Customer Service. Take some time to read it. Once you get done reading it, you can look back and it is all summed up in 2 small words. Be nice. That's what we're asking of you today. Be nice. I challenge you to treat those you meet as though they were the most important thing in the world. Not because I'm telling you to do so, but simply because as our fellow human beings, they should be treated like they are the most important person in the world. And I'm 100% confident that you will rise to this challenge. As I close in on the end of my 33-year career with the fire service, I look out at the faces of our new recruits and I see the fire department's future in your eyes, and I see a lot of great things. You have been trained well, and you come with a fresh new eagerness to serve, and that is simply wonderful. My hope is that after you have put 25 plus years behind you, you still put your uniform on every single day with pride and honor, as I do after 33 years. This is the greatest profession in the world. And I can assure you that the greatest awards you receive are not going to come in the form of a letter of commendation or a plaque you put on your wall. Your greatest rewards will come from the smiles on the faces of the children you meet, the simple thank you from a senior citizen, somebody you help up off the floor after a fall, or a grateful handshake of a citizen who is so very thankful that you saved their home from total destruction by fire. The ink on your commendation will fade over time. Your plaque is eventually going to hang on a wall and just basically collect dust. But the feeling you get from knowing you've given your all, for selflessly putting your life on the line to save the lives and properties of the citizens of this great city, and receiving the gratitude from a thankful citizen, will certainly last a lifetime. Recruits, I wish you all the best in your career. Good luck in your career, and may God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Chief Smith talked a little bit about traditions, and we'll talk a little more, but the fire service is steeped in tradition. St. Paul Fire Department is, of course, no exception. But we actually have a couple new traditions we've been working on the last few years, and one of those new traditions is the designation of a top recruit. The training staff developed a plan to select a recruit based on 4 criteria. They took academic grades, physical performance, and then they took peer reviews and training officer reviews. Each member of the class and training staff then ranked everyone based on test scores, leadership, integrity, and character. The top recruit, I'm proud to announce, for the 2013 recruit class is Chris Kaufman. Well done. Another relatively new tradition is we've allowed the class to pick their own class speaker, so they'll have a little say in our graduation ceremony. This year, the class has picked Eric Mork to say a few words.
Good afternoon. I don't know how true it is that they picked me. I probably talked the most in class, so it was kind of default. First and foremost, we'd like to thank everyone for coming to help us celebrate our graduation from St. Paul Fire Department's first recruit class of 2013. We have a bunch of thank yous that we also would like to pass out to everyone who have had a hand in our success through the last 15 weeks. First and foremost, to those that were there in the very beginning of the process. Chief Butler, Assistant Chief Smith, and all the administrative staff of St. Paul Fire. The 11 of us would like to sincerely thank you for the opportunity you presented us with when we were offered positions with St. Paul Fire Department. It speaks volumes towards the quality and the reputation of your department when you literally attract applicants from all corners of the country. Our class had recruits from Washington State, Washington, D.C., Georgia, Florida, and of course, from all over the state of Minnesota. Many of us left positions with well-respected departments from around the country to begin our careers with St. Paul. That also solidifies your department's well-respected standing among others. Again, thank you very, very much for the opportunity, and we promise to do our very best to live up to the high standards you've set before us. To Chief McDonough and Training Officer Gilliam, great leadership is of the utmost importance, especially in the case of training firefighters. It is obvious that St. Paul Fire Department's training division is at the head of the class, as the training we all received, coupled with the training conducted daily by the crews in the field, ensure that our skill sets are among the best in the nation. If we retain a fraction of what you both have presented us with, we're all but ensured successful careers with St. Paul Fire. Captain Blank, Captain Dino, and Training Assistant Hawkins. Your assistance with our specialized training and day-to-day operations was vital in our success and more than appreciated. We all very much look forward to training with you throughout the course of our careers. To all the street crews and training assistants that stopped out numerous times throughout the course of our recruit class, especially those who assisted us with our skills assessment week. The long hours you all put in at the training center were more than appreciated. Regardless of the weather, time of the day, or number of runs you put in prior to helping out, there never seemed to be a shortage of knowledge and experience around us, and for that, we thank you. On a side note, it was also a welcome change to have different voices outside that of Training Officer Macoso screaming down at us from the 6th floor of the drill tower. Of course, we'd like to thank our training officers, Training Officer Kroger, Training Officer Baker, and Training Officer Macoso. I don't know if any of us quite knew what we got ourselves into when we met you on day 1, but 15 weeks later, on day 75, all 3 of you are directly responsible for our successes throughout the course of our recruitment period. Through gained knowledge, acquired experience, and misplaced pounds, we were all better firefighters than when we first met. Although we may spend the remainder of our careers half expecting impromptu Coliseum marathons, surprise CrossFit torture sessions, and the ever enjoyable hand-to-hand self-defense workouts, you all have our sincere thanks just the same. Last and certainly not least, to all of our family and friends. As challenging as the last 15 weeks have been on us, they have been equally as taxing on you. Hopefully the late nights of studying, the oft-ignored chores, and the sometimes long hours can be forgiven. Your support and understanding throughout this whole process did not go overlooked, and we are all more than thankful. This afternoon, we hope that you can share in our feeling of accomplishment, as you deserve as much of the credit as we do. As Chief McDonough said earlier, there's really a lot of people that go into the success of a recruitment period. Many individuals outside of St. Paul Fire. The 11 of us have a few specific individuals we'd like to thank that we are more than indebted to. Starting off, to Mother Nature. Thank you very, very much for extending winter by 2 months this year. We all thoroughly enjoyed shoveling snow, daily. To the Ralph Lauren Clothing Company, namely the Denim Jean Division, thank you for providing one of us, who I will remain nameless, with his attire for the first day of class. Your assistance in creating a stellar first impression definitely did not go unnoticed. To any and all manufacturers of ibuprofen, we may not have made it through the first month of class if not for you. We sincerely thank you for your product, as it works wonders. In that same breath, please do not be offended when you are contacted by 11 separate attorneys 20 years from now, as we are all destined for some degree of ibuprofen overdose-induced kidney failure. To Needles Janitorial Supply of St. Paul, we'd like to thank you for personally training one of our own on the correct procedures of refilling paper towels and restocking toilet paper. One does not know the value of overstuffed towel dispensers and pyramidal stacks of toilet paper until you are forced to go without. The highly specialized skills you equipped one of our recruits with were invaluable, and they will surely pay dividends later in life. And lastly, that the construction company is responsible for our drill tower, the Kellogg Building staircase in downtown St. Paul, and the J.J. Hill House stairwell on Summit Avenue. You have forever ruined the joy of taking stairs for all of us. We will never again be able to visit establishments not equipped with mechanical means of traveling between floors. And for that, we thank you. In closing, on a more serious note, we would like to again thank everyone, training staff, administrative staff, chiefs, street crews, involved in our completion of St. Paul Fire Department's first recruit class of 2013. Thank you all very, very much.
The badge you're about to receive is also full of symbolism. Perched on the top of the badge, you'll notice the phoenix, the mythological bird. The phoenix is a symbol of new life rising from the flames. The continuous rope and chain that you're going to see around the badge symbolizes that unbroken service and loyalty. The torch indicates your willingness to risk your life and respond to other people's needs. In ancient heraldry, a warrior wore a symbol of the weapons that they were expert in. When that weapon was crossed, that meant they actually utilized that weapon in battle. On your badge, you're going to notice the crossed tools of a firefighter, which you have clearly demonstrated proficiency in. The badge is not just a piece of metal. It's a symbol that carries an obligation to protect and save those in need. There is no nobler obligation. Class of 2013, prepare for the presentation ceremony. Training officers Makoso and Baker will read your names as you receive your badges.
Left, face. Forward, march. Felipe Aguirre.
James Chandler.
Chris Horniak.
Joel Erie.
Chris Kaufman.
Eric Mork.
Benjamin Roser.
Tom Selesky.
Jamie Smith.
Kyle Thornburg.
Lee Tufty.
Recruits, this is the time to do the firefighter's oath. I ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, that of the state of Minnesota, all ordinances of the city of St. Paul, and the rules and regulations of this department. I will strive to maintain a spirit of teamwork and cooperation with all personnel. I will seek to give only the highest example of honesty, integrity, and good citizenship. I understand my behavior on and off duty affects the reputations of all firefighters. I will at all times uphold the highest standard of a professional firefighter and the proud traditions of the St. Paul Fire Department. Recruits, about face. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, it is with great, great pleasure that now I introduce to you the graduating class of 2013-1, the St. Paul Fire Department Recruit Academy.